In lesson 411, we're going to work with addition and subtraction of decimals with the hundredths grid. You'll need your whiteboard marker, and your math journal. Let's go ahead and start with our math warm-up. Would you please write number 1 and 2 for number 1? It says, I have a 7 in the tens place and a 5 in the tenths place. Would you please write the number on your whiteboard? Number 2, I have a 3 in the tenths place and a 9 in the tens place. If it doesn't have any other number told, you can put a 0. Go ahead and write those two numbers on your whiteboard. Remember, honesty. Do what's expected, even if someone is not checking right over your shoulder. You just want to be a person of integrity, which means you do what you should, even when nobody's watching. So number 1, a 7 in the tens place and a 5 in the tenths place. And in this case, then we put a 0 there because it doesn't say that there's any number in the ones place. So 70 and 5/10. Number 2, I have a 3 in the tenths place and a 9 in the tens place. So in order for that to happen, I guess I don't need that one. A 3 in the tenths place and a 9 in the tens. I would have 90 and 3/10. Go ahead and erase. Number 1, I have a 9 in the hundredths place, and a 1 in the hundredths place. And number 2, I have a 6 in the hundredths place and 1/3 of that number in the hundreds place. So hundreds, and so hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, hundredths. So 9 in the hundreds, notice there's no TH, and a 1 in the hundredths, and the rest of them would be zeros. 901 hundredth. This one goes to the hundreds place as well. So hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, hundredths. I have a 6 in the hundredths and 1/3 of that number in the hundreds. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 206 hundredths. And 2 last warm-up problems. I have a 4 in the thousands place and a 7 in the thousandths place. Number 2, I have a 4 in the hundredths place and a 4 that's worth 10 times as much. 100 times as much. So go ahead and write those numbers down. Okay, so let's start with number 1. I have a 4 in the thousandths place. So if we have a number in the thousands, it's going to look like that. Thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So 4 in the thousands and a 7 in the thousandths place. 4,000 and 7 thousandths. I have a 4 in the hundredths place, so tenths, hundredths, and a 4 that's 100 times as much. Remember, each time we move to the left, it's 10 times greater. So 1 place would be 10 times, 2 places would be another 0, 100 times. So 4 and 4 hundredths. So on your whiteboard, I want you to number 1 to 4. How much of that box is shaded in blue? Please write it as a decimal. Number 2 on your whiteboard, how much is shaded in red? Write it as a decimal. There are 100 equal parts. So remember, tenths, hundredths. How much is shaded in all? And what number sentence would match what is shown on the grid? So would you please pause your video and answer these 4 questions? So how much is shaded in blue? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10 more is 20 hundredths. How much is shaded in red? Well, each one is worth 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. 47 hundredths. How much is shaded in all? Well, if I added those together, it would be 67 hundredths. I can put a 0 there too. So what number sentence would match what is shown on the grid? Well, I took the blue, which is 20 hundredths, plus the red, which was 47 hundredths, and together that equaled 67 hundredths. 67 hundredths. So if I were to add decimals with grids and I were to take 33 hundredths, I would shade in 33 hundredths in blue. This is 30, 31, 32, 33. And then let me do 54 hundredths in red. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 4 more, 51, 52, 53, 54. How many is that in all? Let me show you. If I line up those decimal points so that the tenths and the hundredths are lined up, all I have to do is bring my decimal point straight down, add my hundredths column, 3 plus 4 is 7, add my tenths, 3 plus 5 is 8. I would add that up and it would equal 87 hundredths. 87 of those squares are colored in. If I were to take 65 hundredths in blue, well, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, plus 28 hundredths, 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Again, I could count those all up. Otherwise, I can line up the decimal points so that the hundredths lines up with the tenths and the decimal lines up. I just add 8 plus 5 is 13. Here in my 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 93 hundredths. I could do the same thing and separate the grids and do 76 hundredths, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76. And then 45 hundredths, 10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. I can go ahead and count those all up or line up my decimal points. It's going to equal more than one whole 100 grid. I line up the hundredths, the tenths, and the decimal point. 6 plus 5 is 11. Carry my 1. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 4 is 12. Carry my 1 over to the next place value, which is one whole grid. So 1 and 21 hundredths is filled. So let's go ahead and practice this in our math journal. So we're going to move to math journal, page 144. Page 144. Decimal addition and subtraction with grids. Again, remember, you're filling this out with me as you'll be responsible for taking a picture and documenting that you've completed it. For problems 1 and 2, shade the grid in one color to show the first addend. Shade one more of the grid in a second color to show the second addend. So you need 2 different colors. So pause the video and go get 2 crayons, 2 colored pencils, or 2 markers. So I'm going to show 6/10. Now remember, it's not 600ths. I can put a 0 behind there. 6 times is the same as 60 cents. So I'm going to start off in 6/10. If I divided this into 10 equal parts, this is how much 6/10 would be. 3, 4, 40, 50, or 5/10. 6/10. In a second color, you're going to do 22 hundredths. This is 10, 20, and 2 more. Shade that in. You're going to add those up. I know it's 82 hundredths. Number 2, again, if you need more time, pause the video at any point in time. 18 hundredths. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 35 hundredths. I'm going to do it like this first. 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. If I count this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 43 hundredths. Sorry, 53 hundredths. Be 53 hundredths. For problems 3 and 4, shade the grid to show the starting number. Cross off or shade darker to show what is being taken away. Write the difference to complete. So you're going to start with 1. So we're going to start with 47 hundredths. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. Now with yellow, I'm going to take away 20 hundredths. Take this away and take that away. What am I left with? 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 hundredths. If I line up my decimals, as long as my hundredths, tenths, and all that is lined up, I just subtract. 7 minus 0 is 7. 4 minus 2 is 2. Bring the decimal point straight down. In problem number 4, we're going to go ahead and remember you're doing all of this in your journal with me. You're going to shade in 74 hundredths. And again, remember it's asking you to do this in 2 different colors. Actually, no, I think it's just asking you to X it off or cross it off. 50, 60, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74 hundredths. Now cross off 36 hundredths. 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So what is left? If we were to count them, you would have 38 hundredths. You can take 74 hundredths and subtract 36 hundredths from it, as long as your hundredths, tenths, your decimals are all lined up. And you'd subtract like you normally would. Don't worry about problem number 5.